My mother-in-law kicked out my parents after failing to seduce my father. Hi there, I am here to ask for advice and to make my husband see that I'm not the jerk. Here's hoping y'all can see where I'm coming from. I 45 female am living with my children 12 female, 14 male and 15 male, husband 46 male and mother-in-law 65 female. My mother-in-law moved in with us back in 2015 after my father-in-law passed because she was financially struggling. My mother-in-law is not easy to live with, and we struggled immensely at the beginning, but after a few years we found a way to cohabit. Then recently, 3 months ago to be exact, my parents' 68 female and 68 male house burned down, and they moved in with us while everything is sorted out with insurance and so on. My boys are sharing a bedroom as my parents are currently staying in my eldest bedroom. My mother-in-law has struggled with this and seems to hate my mother being around. My mother has done nothing to upset her or to disturb her. In fact, my parents' bedroom is on the other side of the house. She doesn't, however, have problem with my father and always finds a way to hang out with him. A few days ago, while I was away for work, a massive argument happened between my mother and mother-in-law. My mother had accused her of trying to seduce my father, and there were some inappropriate texts sent to my father. My father immediately showed it to my mother, and my mother responded as if she was my father to see how far mother-in-law would go, and well, she went far. Well, my mother confronted her, and mother-in-law called the police saying she felt threatened, who then escorted my parents out the house. This all happened while my husband was at work and the kids at school. My parents went to stay at a hotel, and they explained what happened to me over the phone. When I returned, I gave mother-in-law 2 weeks to move out. My husband thinks I'm escalating things and that I should forgive his mother's actions because she was lonely and confused. For information, there is nothing wrong with her. She's in good health. So am I the jerk for wanting her out of our house and my life? For your information. To answer, my husband has not seen the text and pictures his mother sent my father. The only reason he hasn't seen it is because he refused to. But I think I'll have to insist because I need him to really understand how nasty she's been. Also, I wanted to kick her out immediately, but my husband begged me to give him 2 weeks so he could find a place for her. And my parents, being the saints that they are, said that I should give him that. My husband has profusely apologized to my parents, but my parents aren't upset with us and hold only mother-in-law responsible, as it was her disgusting actions that lead to this. One in the pictures she sent my father, mother-in-law wasn't completely naked. She sent him lingerie pictures with suggestive poses and accompanied with lewd texts, which is why my husband isn't particularly interested in seeing them. 2. The police asked my parents to leave since my mother-in-law technically resides there. To avoid escalating the situation, my parents decided to leave. The police officers did not file any charges and just left after a chat with everyone involved. There was zero violence and no one got hurt. 3. Mother-in-law moved in with us after she had lost almost everything. Father-in-law died after a long battle with cancer. Medical costs ate up pretty much most of their savings, and she had to sell their house. This led her to spiral into a deep depression. My husband was very worried for his mother, and for good reason, as she was in a terrible state at the time. So we decided to move her in with us. From the comments, poor dad, I can see him trying to be friendly. He knows it's an imposition for them to be there, and the household routines are upset. So he's trying to be pleasant company, especially to his daughter's mother-in-law, with whom there has been so much drama in the past. He doesn't want to make things more awkward for his girl. And maybe he's a teeny bit oblivious to how rude mother-in-law is to his wife. She doesn't do it when he's around, I'd bet. And his wife is sticking close to the room, also in an attempt to not be intrusive. So maybe he feels that one of them should be friendly now and then to balance things out. So he takes that on. And then this woman is texting him with overtures. OP, do you know my parents? Was you in the house? 'Cause this is literally how it went. My dad is a very chill guy and was oblivious to her flirting and rudeness, and my poor mother just tried her best to avoid her. Both my parents are really calm and easygoing people. When she couldn't flirt with my father because my father doesn't notice that shit. She literally texted him explicit pictures and was talking about, I know you got that kink in your neck, so why don't you let me work it out? Update. I thought I'd give you all an update since several people have asked for one. My mother-in-law is currently staying in an Airbnb, and since she is in no position to buy her own place, my husband has decided he's buying her a 2 to 3 bedroom place near us. The plan is for her to rent out the second room to her friend, who is currently going through a divorce. I haven't spoken to or seen my mother-in-law for 3 weeks now. My husband goes to see her once or twice a week, as she is apparently severely depressed. She's also upset with me for telling my husband's entire family why she's been kicked out of my house, and they are all appalled with her. My husband has also gone off on her a few times for her behavior, and he fully backs me in the decision to ban her from our home. The children know there has been a falling out with their grandmother and me, and I suspect they know why. But they also know they can maintain their own relationship with her without it upsetting me. They miss her and have gone to visit her a few times with their father. There's much I can say about my mother-in-law, but one thing I can't deny is her love for her grandchildren. My husband still hasn't looked at the messages his mother sent my father, and honestly, I can understand it because I too wouldn't want to see anything sexual involving my mother. As for my husband and I, we are both working on our relationship. Obviously, during this period, our relationship was strained, but we are back on track. My husband has apologized to me several times for not putting his foot down with his mother earlier on, and he is doing everything he can to mend our marriage. This whole situation has made my parents and my husband's relationship awkward, but we are all slowly working on mending it. As for my parents' house, it will take another month or so before they can move back in. It's currently a construction site, and my parents are looking forward to redecorating it. From the comments. 1. Why are you allowing your kids around her? She just showed she's a bad role model. 2. I would do a post-nup over this second house. Y'all divorce, he gets that house, and you get the family house. 3. Mother-in-law ought to be paying rent too, not just her friend. 4. Be aware, you're on the hook still with this house that Hubs wants to buy, even with your name not on it. 5. Your Hubs needs to read the conversation. How would he feel if a daughter did this to the other daughter? History repeats. OP. 1. My children miss her, and my children are at an age where they can manage to maintain their own relationships with her. She helped raise them, and she spent much more on them than most other grandparents. I couldn't have run my own business if she wasn't a third parent to them. 2. The house would be legally ours. 3. She literally doesn't have the money to pay rent. She has been looking at getting a job. When she has a job, we can discuss her paying rent. 4. I'm not going to push him to read it. He already knows how bad it is.